Welcome to our Crystal Palace preview. This is the very last Premier League preview of the season. We are playing Palace on Sunday at Old Trafford. Does it matter? Does it make any difference to what happens in Stockholm? We're coming sixth regardless if we win 10-0 or lose 10-0. Joshy, does this game have any relevance on anything on earth?
Anything on earth? Yeah, but I think, no, I don't think, overall, it pretty much doesn't matter. Both sides are pretty much set in their league positions. The main thing that I'm sort of excited to see is a few of the young lads coming in and having a chance to impress. But even then, I'm not sure that it will truly impact the final and the 11 that Jose will pick on that day. So it's more of a case of, I'm excited to see some of these young guys. Hopefully Pogba gets some minutes, the team sort of has to pull themselves up and get going for the final.
Okay, Paul, do you think a victory here is good for momentum in terms of playing in a final?
I think a victory here is broadly irrelevant in terms of momentum leading up to the final. I think it would be really nice for a couple of reasons. One, there'll be a lot of kids in the team and hopefully even some more coming off the bench. So it'd be really good for them to get a victory in what will be first team debut for a lot of players and certainly a first start for a few by the looks of things. So that, in that sense, a win is important. But I think if we wanted momentum going into the final, we should have started a few weeks ago rather than just going, none of this really matters, let's just wait. So we've kind of left it too late to build genuine momentum going into the final, especially given that the team will have maybe 2 or 3 starters maximum, I'd say, for the Europa League final on Wednesday.
Adam, do you agree with Paul or do you disagree to the full extent of a guest on Jeremy Kyle that we need to go and get DNA tests done?
You might need to get a DNA test done, but I don't know. I agree with Paul. There's nothing on this match, man. I think the fact that youngsters are playing makes it more exciting for me than I know some people will be like, United are chucking the youngsters out. I can't be arsed with this. Not me. I'm looking forward to that. I think it puts a little bit something more on the game. I think a lot of these youngsters we've heard about. Look, I've been happy that Jose's gave Tuanzebe chances, Rashford chances. I think he should have given Timothy Fosu-Mensah more minutes in the season, but he didn't. But Jose's giving these youngsters a chance. Whether it's he's been forced to or not, he's giving these youngsters a chance. But what we know of Jose Mourinho is if he doesn't like you the first time he sees you, you're probably not going to get back into his good books. So there's a lot on these players performing well. And although it may be a meaningless Premier League game, these youngsters do need to step up. They do need to put in a performance. And hopefully the relaxed atmosphere around this game going into the final just after the Player of the Year awards do, hopefully that will allow these players to relax and play their football, because when they do, they are very exciting. We're hearing Angel Gomez could be on the bench, could be involved in the match day squad. That could be very exciting if he gets to make his first team debut off the bench. Matty Willock's in the team. Josh Harrop scored a hat-trick for the first team against Tottenham earlier this week. So there's a lot of players going into it with a bit of form.
And for the first team?
Sorry,
no
for
memory
the reserves. Yeah, sorry, mate.
But
we didn't score any goals.
I'll interrupt you for a second, because just before we
No,
started...
I'm going to say,
Yeah,
Joel Pereira,
Yeah.
for me, I know Donnarumma is very, very good, but he's one of the best young goalkeepers about. There's rumours about Dave arguably playing his last
I will
game.
interrupt you now, because in a bit we're going to talk about goalkeepers specifically, so save your point. This is going to probably ruin your predicted teams in a bit, but Mourinho did a press conference today and he inferred that Joel Pereira, Kieran O'Hara, Dimitri Mitchell, Josh Harrop, Angel Gomez, Scott McTominay, Timothy Fosu-Mensah, or as the BBC have written, Tomothy Fosu-Mensah, and Axel Tuanzebe will all be involved, plus 3 or 4 first-team players. What do you make of all those?
Timbo's back.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Back.
I'm sure that'll ruin your predicted teams, but you didn't know at the time. So,
Joel Pereira, top goalkeeper, and for me, he could be a long-term replacement for David De Gea, although not immediately because he's not ready yet.
Again, goalkeeping chat will come. Joshy, what do you think about all those young players playing? Is that exciting? Do you see that we're potentially throwing a game away? What's your view on it?
The game itself doesn't matter. The result doesn't matter. It's not going to affect any outcome in the context of the season. So I'm actually really excited to see some of these youngsters. To be honest, I don't watch the reserves or academy that often. I do know of some of these players, and I have seen a few games. But to see them all on the Old Trafford pitch would be a great experience for them. Hopefully, they will do it alongside a few of the senior players. Like, imagine playing it at Old Trafford alongside Paul Pogba. You know, that'll be a great experience for them. But as Adam said, it's an opportunity as well to sort of lay down a bit of a marker as an individual. So these players will want to impress. And I think whilst Jose has given a lot of debuts in the past to young players, not all of them, or a few of them, I'm being generous here, very few of them have gone on to actually establish themselves. And I think that comes down to the fact that they don't necessarily, they come on and they try and play it safe because they don't want to make mistakes, as opposed to coming on and trying to make things happen if they're in that type of position. So I think Josh McEachran was one at Chelsea, and they've had a few other lads there who he gave debuts to, but they came on, they just looked very safe and solid. So it'd be good to see someone like Angel Gomez come on and actually just try something and do what he does for the reserves, but do it at Old Trafford. So yeah, no, that's exciting. Ruins the predicted lineup for sure, but yeah, no, it was good, and it's good to see Timothy Fosu-Mensah back, because I'm like Adam. I think he should have got a few more minutes during the season. There were so many games and opportunities for him to come on, and instead he's coming on at last 5 minutes. So there's there's sort of positives from Jose Mourinho this year in terms of the handling of the youth, but also I'd like him to sort of step it up and take other opportunities, or I'd like to have seen him take other opportunities, given that this is the last game.
Okay, Paul, here's a question for you. We are expecting lots of youngsters, lots of debuts, but what do you think this game means for the senior players that we've picked? We know Pogba's going to play because Mourinho wants him to get some minutes under his belt before he heads off to Stockholm. But what about the other players? Do you think, say, for example, if Ashley Young starts, is he going? Is it just a farewell? Or do you think it'll be an opportunity for players to stake a case for themselves for the Europa League final?
I really admire, Sam, your commitment to making this game seem interesting in some way. It's impressive. No, it doesn't. None of it means anything. The Rooney situation is such that he's apparently not going to play in this game. I can't conceive that will mean he's somehow staying in the summer. I guess if it is going to be Ashley Young's last game, it'd be nice to see him. Apparently, Chris Smalling's got a small problem, so we won't see him make his last Old Trafford appearance. That one might be wishful thinking. But the general gist is, I think it doesn't really tell us anything about where the senior players stack up in the general pantheon. Because I think Mourinho's going to use his kind of supply of sentimentality to give young players debuts rather than to give older players farewells. Maybe partly because he doesn't want to tip his hand in terms of who's staying and who's going just yet.
Okay, understandable. Adam, everybody in the comments is getting very excited about Fosu-Mensah potentially playing in midfield. Do you agree with that?
You know me, Sam. I love to be Fosu-Mensah. I'd love him to start. I don't know where, because he hasn't been on the bench or anything since his injury. So it's kind of come as a surprise to me to hear that he'll be involved. So if he starts, I can only imagine he's been doing well in training, and he's been training fully for a while. So I think he may be on the bench. I think Wayne Rooney, I can just see him, even like if he comes on for the last, I don't know, I just think this might be the last time we'll see Wayne Rooney. Ashley Young's not going to play because he's out for the season, isn't he? But when they come on and do the lap of honour, we could be looking out for a few of those old signs. I remember when David Beckham gave after that game against Real Madrid, and he whispered something to Gary Neville, and I remember being in denial about that for ages. Like, no, he's not going. He loves his place and all that. And I can just imagine tomorrow, when the players come back out after the game, if they do a lap of honour and all that stuff. That will probably end 1-1 as well. But if they do all that, I think we'll all be looking out for how people are reacting.
Yeah, Carrick did it last year, didn't he? His was very much. But it looked very farewelly. If that, I mean, that's not a word, obviously, but
it is a word.
But the person you'll be looking out for the most will be David De Gea.
Yes, Joshy, hang on. I'm going to interrupt you. Now I'm going to do my link so we can do goalkeepers. Are you ready? Joel Pereira is expected to play in this one. Does he have any chance at all of making it as our number one? Do you think we've seen the last of David De Gea? And is our future number one Sergio Romero? Joshy, please continue your point. We're now on goalkeepers, everybody. You're welcome.
Yeah, I think when this lap of honour happens, if you're looking for any signs, we're all going to be looking to David De Gea, aren't we? And actually, we may have already seen David De Gea's last game in a Manchester United shirt. I think I think a lot of people have accepted that Real Madrid are going to come in. I'm sure there's no sort of acceptance at Old Trafford that we don't want we have to sell to Real Madrid. I think there will be. I'm sure Jose will be desperate to try and keep him. But after a while, you've just got to accept. If the player says, I want to go, then there's not much you can do these days. You just got to try and get as big a fee as possible. In terms of the final, I think I would stick with Romero. He's deserved it. He's played. I know it's a final, and we should be putting out our best players, and there is the argument for that, and I can see it. But at the same time, he's played every single match. He's rarely put made any mistakes in the run up to the final. And I would just give it to him because he deserves it. And regarding Joel Pereira, that he's highly rated. People obviously have been saying a lot of good things about him. And Adam sort of implied earlier that, he's not ready because of his age. Well, you'll never know until you throw him in. So, and we'll look at what's happened at Milan. They had a goalkeeper, they threw him in. Look what happened with De Gea. I think when he started at Atletico Madrid, they'd just signed that Asensio, or he was the main Sergio Asensio, was it the main goalkeeper, and then they just threw in De Gea because they just said, he's better actually, even though he's a lot younger. So sometimes you just got to do that. And if Joel Pereira is rated that highly, then I would try and throw him in, but I don't know. I've not seen him that often.
The amount of games Sergio Romero has had this year, I think if Romero went into it as our number one and Pereira was his number two and got given that game time, so played all the FA Cup, League Cup games and occasionally in Europe, hopefully the Champions League. If he was used like that, then I can see him eventually becoming it. I just don't think Jose will say, here's a number one shirt, you're our new number one next season.
I just throw him in and give him the opportunities.
But I think he can be given the opportunity. I think he is good enough. I think he's had a long time with our under 23s, under 21s, whatever you want to call them. And he went to Belenenses, sorry if I pronounced that right, in Portugal, and had to come back because of an injury to Dean Henderson, was it? Or Sam Johnston, it may have been. But he had to come back, and he was doing so well in that loan move. Probably a bit of a bummer for him for that to end there. But yeah, I like him, man.
Just an answer, just really quick, just one word from each of you. Will De Gea be in goal in the Premier League next season? Just a yes or a no.
I think no, but because I think no so much, I'm going to say yeah.
What?
I'm always wrong.
So what?
So what? I don't know what that means.
I think my brain is saying to me, Dave's not here next season.
Okay, well, that's it. That's your answer. You don't think he will be. That's it. You can't argue with your own opinion.
But when I say things like that, I'm always wrong.
Paul, what do you think?
I think he will not be here, sadly.
Okay. You also look like you were shaking your head about him being in goal for the Europa League final.
It's absolutely mad. It's driving me up the wall. I can't think of anything more frustrating in recent football memory, apart from, all the draws and that. The conversation doesn't make any sense. This is the most important game of the season by an absolute mile. Mourinho said, when he was asked about goalkeepers, I guess after the Southampton game, he said David De Gea is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And then in almost the same breath talked about Romero playing in the final. It makes no sense. Okay, you could argue Romero hasn't made any calamitous mistakes in the Europa League campaign so far. That's true. In fact, Romero had a particularly good game against Southampton, saving a penalty, a couple of other nice saves here and there in that game. Romero is a pretty good goalkeeper as goalkeepers go. David De Gea is going to be one of the great goalkeepers of all time. And whether or not he goes to Madrid in the summer, he's in our squad now. And yet the manager's going, nah, it doesn't matter that everything rests on this one game. I'm still going to play this less good goalkeeper instead of this giant springy llama man who can make saves that almost no other humans are able to make. I don't understand it. I get the kind of sentimentality of it. Maybe he's promised Romero and he's living up to a promise, and that's all fair enough and fine. But the kind of broad acceptance of it is just baffling to me.
I'm
Do
with
you
you on
think
that.
maybe that?
Right.
Do you think maybe
Adam,
because
we're gonna do teams. We're gonna
Hang
do teams
on,
now.
hang
We've
on,
got
hang
to
on.
move on. We've
I've
got to
got a
move
big
on.
question
We've
here.
got to move on. I know, but we've got to move on.
Not big now. I'm asking a question.
Life isn't fair.
Do you think maybe because Dave is definitely going, Jose just like, wow, fuck you then. I don't need you.
Maybe, but why would you do that? Apart from if it's just to show, well, I don't care, I'm Jose Mourinho, I don't care about stuff. And if that's the reason, then to me that's not a good reason. If Zlatan was off, in like if he hadn't got injured and he was in good form and Mourinho was like, oh, sorry, you didn't sign another year extension, you don't get to play in the final, that's not what would happen, is it? So
although we lost anyway, imagine if we dropped Ronaldo for the Champions League final against Barcelona. Even though we lost, that would still be a completely insane thing to do. Right, Adam, you are still
If
somehow
Fletcher
winning.
played, we would have won.
You're still winning the predict teams. This is the last one in the Premier League. And quite frankly, anything could happen because no one, I think, will be able to make a particularly good effort at guessing the team. But Adam, as you're winning, please go first. What is your team? I'll also let everybody know as a caveat that the guys picked their teams before Mourinho did his press conference.
Jesus Christ.
So, Adam, your team.
I've gone for the old Paul Rantcast method where you just pick as many players that you think may start and pray for the best. I didn't know about Fosu Mensah, so I haven't put him in, but still it doesn't matter. Anyway, I've gone with Pereira in goal, so I think that's 1 point, right? Axel Tuanzebe, Smalling, as I don't think he'll start in the final. Bailey, because he can't. Olasunde and Mitchell. So that's Tuanzebe and Dimitri Mitchell as the wing-backs with a back five of some sorts. Then Willock, Carrick, McTominay, Josh Harrop, and Wayne Rooney.
Interesting. It's very interesting. Mourinho says Wayne Rooney unlikely to play, but we will see. Joshy, what's
It's his last ever game at Old Trafford, Jose.
It's what he said. He has no respect for leaving players. Look what he's doing to De Gea.
Oh my God.
So, I think my team's going to be so far off. I'm only 104 points off Adam anyway. So, but I had Joel Pereira in net. I thought I put Valencia at right back because I thought he wanted to give him a few minutes because he's not played for a while. Jones and Bailly because isn't Smalling injured, and Bailly because he's not going to play. I put Mitchell at left back, Tuanzebe, Pogba and Rooney in midfield, and then sort of Willock and Mata in that midfield area as well, and Martial up front. I don't know I don't think that's going to be very accurate.
I think if you nail the team this week, you should get 50 points.
I think your prediction about how accurate your team is going to be better than your prediction that is your team.
I think so, yeah.
Paul, what's your team?
All right, so my team that I think you might see on the screen right now, I'm making one change to the team that I picked.
You can't make changes.
Let me
hang on. Producer Chris. Paul wants to make a change to his team.
One change.
The thumb is up. The thumb is up.
Yes.
You can make your change.
Pereira, Tuanzebe, Bailly, Fosu Mensah instead of Jones, because I think Jones is going to play in the final. Mitchell, left back, McTominay, Carrick. McTominay, Pogba, Carrick, Mata, Martial, Mkhitaryan. That's my team.
But I like all of your teams.
Martial starts his game and he doesn't start against Ajax.
I don't think he's going to start against Ajax.
No, surely he won't.
Race, man. Jose's ruining this guy. Just leave us, Marshall, for the best of your life.
I mean, I like him, but in the last few games he's had his chances. This is what I was saying earlier. No one's really stepped up to.
That is
because we played wing back.
No, but what I'm saying is that he's not been like superb. I know he's had some good moments, but and I just get the feeling that he's not. Jose's not going to play him in the final because he's played the last two games. I mean, I want him to play. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's not like he's come on and scored a goal in the other game and a couple the other day or whatever.
The thing about that argument is United were absolutely
of course,
garbage in those games. And that affects forwards more than it affects any other player on the pitch. Because, I mean, against Spurs, I was sat right on the halfway line. Martial was the only person in the Spurs half for most of that first half. It was ridiculous. And still, he came within a whisker of scoring 2 really spectacular goals and set up another one. I think that I don't disagree with the fundaments of your argument. The bit that I profoundly disagree with is he's had his chance and he hasn't taken it.
No,
I don't
I'm
think
not
you can say
saying.
he's had his chance.
I'm saying Jose will. He's the kind of guy that will see it that way because of the pattern of the way he's managed things over the season. You know, even if he had scored a few goals, he might not even have started. He's just been that. It's been that kind of season, and the way he's managed, or the man management comes out, has been a bit unusual at times. So I want him to start. I think he is a much more dynamic option than Jesse Lingard. But Lingard hasn't played either of these games. He looks like a pretty much nailed-on starter with Rashford up top. So with that in mind, then I don't see Martial then coming in and in that, unless he's going to go with the trio of those 3 up top. But then that I don't know how often he's actually done that this season. Those 3.
Good chat, in my opinion. And then you have to drop Mkhitaryan.
Yeah. Or Mata or whoever. And that's
don't drop Mickey when
I assume Mata won't start because he's also played the Spurs and Southampton games.
And
so
I've also been assuming that he wouldn't start for that reason, but he had that injury before those games, so he might be playing him back up to strength.
Yeah. I hope he does start because it's a much more positive move than, as an example, Fellaini. Not that they're going to play in the same place, but
Fellaini is 100% starting next Wednesday. Anyone who thinks otherwise, get it out of your head right now.
And he's
I saw someone predicted a midfield of Pogba, Carrick, and Herrera, and I was like, "Oh, my friend, my poor innocent friend. This is not the world we live in."
Fellaini is going to be Fellaini, Herrera, Pogba.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's depressing, though, isn't it? Though
I don't think it's that depressing. Really.
He deserves it.
Who?
What is this? This is sport. We can't keep deserving everything. It's got to be good enough. That's the point, isn't it?
Hold on, mate.
If it was deserved.
You lot all said this, when we went into the FA Cup final, and I was saying to everyone, Fellaini's starting today because he deserves it. And he did deserve it. He scored a goal in the semi-final. He did the same thing the other day. If he doesn't score that goal, he'd probably go out.
I'm just saying, if everybody who deserves it played, then Andy Tate would be starting up front.
Andy Tate don't deserve it. Fellaini does.
Right.
To be fair, that really would be getting the job on a technicality.
The score will be. Adam, what do you think the score will be?
Which game are we doing?
This is Crystal Palace.
Right, we're playing the youngsters, so it's going to be different. 1-1.
Okay, nice. Joshy.
I don't know. I don't even know what Big Sam's going to do with his team. So I think I'm going to go with. I think it's going to be 0-0. Sorry, lads.
I think that Big Sam and his boys will be on El Costa del Stretford, fully treating this as the beach holiday it is to them, and our young lads will be super up for it. Angel Gomez to come on and score a late winner to make it 1-0.
Oh, come on, lads.
I'm going 3-3.
Yes!
This is a pressureless environment. Nobody needs to panic about being terrible at the back. All the young kids will get excited about trying to score goals, and there'll be some really woeful defending and some nice attacking. 3-3. That's my guess.
Have you seen how terrible our defence is when they focus on not being terrible?
It's going to be a different defence, though. It's going to be young defenders, slightly physically weaker defenders, less experienced defenders. They're going to make some mistakes. 3-3. That's what I reckon. Let us know what you think. Get in the comments below. Tell us what you think about David De Gea, about the Europa League final, and all the other nice things we talked about. And if you're interested, do one of those things where you do the numbers and do a little link so people can see Joshy and Paul's chat about Martial, because I think that was really interesting. People like it. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Bye.